Wow, are you ready for a wild ride into the heart of the storm? What you're about to see isn't just any footage, it's a frontline report from those living in the storm's path. These images and videos are nothing short of insane. Streets transformed into rivers, homes submerged in a sea of chaos. Everything is being swept away, tossed around, and the storm seems like a monster swallowing everything in its path. It's like watching a never-ending action movie. Can you believe it? The footage reveals the storm's destructive force as if it's an unstoppable beast, leaving nothing untouched. It's moments like these that are beyond imagination, but thankfully, we're not in the middle of it ourselves. But amidst this chaotic scene, remember, there are people showing incredible courage and hope. Let's come together to pray for peace and recovery for everyone affected. And let's support each other through these dark times. These moments will surely keep you glued to the screen, so buckle up for an experience that's both thrilling and intense. Don't forget to like and share to spread the message of strength and resilience. Prepare yourself for an unforgettable journey through the wrath of Typhoon Yagi, the most powerful storm to hit the Northwest Pacific in 2024. This storm is a monster, with an unprecedented intensity and an expansive circulation. The wind speeds have reached a staggering 45 kilometers per hour, and the areas affected by winds of Category 8 extend over 250 kilometers. The storm's core is surrounded by a fierce, high-intensity wind zone stretching 80 kilometers. Truly a beast of nature. The storm's origins are almost as dramatic as its impact. It began with a cluster of thunderstorms off the coast of Palau, 500 kilometers to the northwest. Just 3 days later, it surged into a full-fledged typhoon, hitting Luzon in the Philippines and barreling towards the South China Sea. By the time it made landfall in Hainan, China, it was already a force to be reckoned with, and it didn't stop there. It stormed into northern Vietnam with a level 4 warning. The sheer speed of its intensification is unparalleled in the history of storms in the South China Sea. As Typhoon Yagi raged, the storm was influenced by a combination of subtropical high-pressure systems and southwest monsoon winds, making its path increasingly unpredictable. The National Hydrometeorological Forecasting Center warned that Quang Ninh, Haiphong, Taibin, Nam Dinh, and Ninh Binh would face direct impacts, and the entire northern region was bracing for the storm's ferocity. The government and emergency services sprung into action, deploying urgent measures to mitigate the damage. The storm's ferocity was beyond imagination. Despite their best efforts to minimize the damage, the aftermath is devastating. Homes have collapsed, trees have been uprooted, streets are in ruins, and countless possessions have been destroyed. The storm was followed by flooding, adding to the chaos. But in these dark times, the spirit of unity and mutual support shines through. The heartwarming stories of people helping each other amidst the destruction serve as a poignant reminder that, no matter the circumstances, human compassion is the strongest foundation we have. As dawn broke on September 7th, the coastal provinces of northern Vietnam were bracing for the most powerful typhoon in 3 decades. Yagi. Originating from the South China Sea, this super typhoon was barreling directly toward the Gulf of Tonkin, with winds reaching terrifying speeds of Category 13 to 14. Soon, Quang Ninh and Haiphong became the first to face the full fury of nature. The initial moments in Quang Ninh were nothing short of apocalyptic. 10 a.m. Quang Ninh seaport was engulfed in a dense fog, with towering waves crashing violently against the faces of fishermen still lingering at the Halong fish market. On the coastal road, only a few motorbikes could be seen speeding desperately towards safety. At the docks, Mr. Then and his wife looked on in horror as their fishing boat, the lifeblood of their family, was tossed and battered by the relentless storm. Within minutes, they realized that the warning, "Do not stay on the boat," was well-founded. Typhoon Yagi had made landfall with monstrous winds. The gusts howled ferociously, threatening to sweep people off their feet. Couple's boat capsized right at the edge of the dock, one of 25 boats that were wrecked in Quang Ninh, according to official reports. In the midst of Yagi, simply standing on the shore and watching their boat sink was, in a twisted sense, fortunate. In Mong Kai, a fishing boat broke free of its moorings and drifted away with a fisherman still aboard, unable to reach safety in time. Inside Halong City, roofs of corrugated iron were no match for the howling winds, which sent them flying and screeching across the tarmac. Following the metal roofs, high-rise windows were torn from their frames. The wind whistling through the gaps in windows created a spine-chilling cacophony. Covering the city, reporters witnessed 2 taxis parked at a hilltop hotel being hurled off the edge into the abyss. A guest at the hotel nearly got swept away, was fortunate to be held back by a quick-thinking receptionist. Quang Ninh, having undergone about 2 decades of infrastructure transformation, faced an unprecedented test of its iconic structures. Within hours, the sleek black glass of the Quang Ninh Museum was shattered by the storm's fury. Across the plaza, the Dolphin Pavilion, the city's most unique architectural feature, had its aluminum roof shredded by the wind. Even a bay filled with limestone cliffs could not shield Halong from the monstrous gusts of Typhoon Yagi. Numerous electric poles in the city toppled. Houses had their roofs ripped off in droves. Trees lay strewn across roads, causing massive traffic jams. Power was cut and phone signals were spotty. Quang Ninh was left to endure the storm from midday until the night of September 7. As the storm ravaged Quang Ninh, Haiphong was also struck by the fierce winds. By noon on September 7th, Haiphong's Department of Transportation had issued a ban on vehicles crossing several bridges, including Bin Bridge, Honbantu Bridge, Kin Bridge, Tun Vu Lac Huyen Bridge, and Bain Ring Bridge. From the 6th floor of an old hotel in the coastal Do Sun area, reporters felt their rooms shaking. A section of the hotel's northwest wall was torn down, windows shattered. The wind and rain blasted into the rooms through the gaping holes. The storm will change wind directions continuously. It starts with northwest winds, then shifts to east winds, and finally south winds before it ends. an elderly security guard told the reporter. Along Winhuko Street, trees and billboards were scattered everywhere. Notably, several metal light poles were also toppled by the wind, their banners and decorations whipping around. By the afternoon, power was out in many areas of Haiphong. Phone and internet services were disrupted as well. Before the storm, I prepared by storing goods and reinforcing doors. However, the storm's strength was beyond our imagination, said Miss Huang, costume rental shop owner in Dosun. Her shop's roof was ripped off, and the rolling shutter door was torn apart by the wind. In Dosun Industrial Zone, many warehouses had their roofs torn off, ruining the goods inside. Workers gathered at the entrance of the industrial zone, unable to access the warehouses due to deep floodwaters. They watched anxiously, worried about losing their jobs. On the streets of Haiphong, authorities and residents worked tirelessly to clear the aftermath of the storm. The top priority was to clear the roads for traffic, followed by cleaning up debris and recovering wind-blown property. Hanoi, the capital, was not spared. After hitting the coastal provinces, Typhoon Yagi continued to wreak havoc in Haidian, Hunyin, and finally made its way to Hanoi. Before the storm even arrived, Hanoi had already seen fatalities due to fallen trees after a thunderstorm. As the typhoon approached, the city was littered with fallen trees, adding to the devastation with another fatality caused by a tree collapse. By noon on September 7th, all public transportation in Hanoi, including trains and buses, was halted. By the afternoon, residents began to feel the terrifying winds of the storm. Although the typhoon had weakened as it moved inland, the winds were still too much for trees and many infrastructure elements in the capital to withstand. Due to the storm's intense wind and rain, parts of Hanoi experienced widespread power outages. The 110 kV power grid had 12 lines tripped due to faults, but only one 110 kV transformer station, Xuanmai, was affected, with repairs completed by the night of September 7th into the early hours of September 8th. Within the city, some single-story homes were destroyed by the storm. Residents of high-rise buildings also faced numerous issues, such as collapsed ceilings, shattered windows, and water pouring into their homes. According to the latest statistics, by 6 p.m. on September 8th, Typhoon Yagi had claimed 21 lives and injured 229 people. It had damaged 8,017 homes, sunk 25 boats at their moorings in Quanmin, caused widespread power and communication outages in Quanmin, Haiphong, Haibin, Haidian, and Hanoi. More than 120,000 hectares of rice and crops were submerged and damaged after the storm. Five 5,000 hectares of fruit trees in Haiphong, Haibin, and Hunyin were damaged. Tens of thousands of trees in northern Vietnam were knocked down, with approximately 17,000 in Hanoi alone. In Quanmin and Haiphong, the aftermath of the storm is still chaotic. The cleanup of fallen trees, toppled electric poles, and street sanitation will take many more days. Even though Typhoon Yagi has downgraded to a tropical depression, its remnants continue to cause heavy rains across many northern mountainous provinces. maintaining a high risk of landslides and flash floods, threatening the lives of thousands in vulnerable areas.
Mày chưa? Ui giời ơi.